Today, I'm Thomas Manglona reporting on Saipan, and welcome to another episode of CNMI Weekly, where we recap the biggest stories from the past week and share what you need to know heading into the weekend. In our first story, Tinian residents share some concerns about the military development's impact to the housing and rental market. The U.S. military is having a major buildup on Tinian. Earlier this month, the Secretary of the Air Force, Frank Kendall, visited the Marianas to see how the DoD's hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent. We spoke to Tinian Chamber of Commerce President Philip Mendiola Long on his recent visit to Saipan about the developments.
There's some concerns with roads, there's concerns with traffic, and the number one concern that Guam is facing as well as Tinian is facing now is housing. There's a steep inflation curve on Tinian right now that people are facing with, where you've seen rental prices triple or quadruple, and that's just because there's no supply for the demand, and the demand has a pace to continue to grow.
On Tinian alone, a divert airfield will be completed by October 2026. The Air Force just awarded a $400 million contract to revitalize a crucial World War II-era airfield, and there are plans to repair and improve the harbor.
You know, there's quite a few of job fairs that not only the DoD had actually sponsored, but contractors, even like legacy businesses that have recently set foot on Tinian the last few years.
Senator Jude Hofschneider from Tinian shared what he's heard from agencies and contractors on the job.
It costs about $250,000 on Tinian right now to build a two-bedroom house. That is something that is far-fetched in the last 5 years.
The senator shared that there's another critical piece.
Infrastructure-wise, we need to make sure that we address the critical infrastructure, aspect of it.
And in our next story, we sit down with the Commissioner of Education, who marks just over 100 days on the job, and he shares plans for cost-cutting measures amid the CNMI's fiscal crisis. Dr. Lawrence Camacho marked just over 100 days on the job as the Commissioner of Education for the CNMI public school system. In addition to his campus listening tour, he's also putting together a 5-year strategic master plan.
We need to prepare ourselves, and we need to set the stage, shape the operation so that within 5 years we're ready to leap into the next 10 years.
And amid the government's fiscal crisis, Camacho shared that there are plans for cost-cutting measures in the next school year.
While we foresee, areas of challenges that we have when it comes to our finances, our fiscal health, going into the next fiscal year, we've done over the last several weeks, months, if you will, put together a team that continues to look into various ways to understand the numbers, to understand the opportunities that in terms of numbers. So all I can say is that we're almost ready to announce to the community where we are in terms of numbers, but we've gone back so many times in recent days, up to recent days, looking at every opportunity, every nook and cranny to find cost-sharing opportunities, and we've done that.
The Commissioner of Education was not able to provide further details.
Whether or not it's a fiscal challenge that we anticipate, it's also good. One of our strategic priorities is effective and efficient operations. Whether we're good on the finances, we still have to dig into how best we could, find ways to cut costs.
And this next story comes from the Commonwealth Office of Transit Authority as they expand their bus routes and plan for an inter-island ferry service. The Commonwealth Office of Transit Authority expanded one of its first bus routes due to high demand.
We've extended our route to pass the Tototville area in Coblerville, and now we're able to service parts of Aslito and Dandan, and then head on into the college, the Northern Marianas College.
And they're working on plans for another route that connects more people through Saipan.
We're getting lots of calls of how to get to the college. There's a lot of amenities that are around that route to include some gym facilities. We've got places of worship. We've got schools. We've got grocery stores.
Transit CNMI is also working with DPS to ensure safety on the roads for everyone amid the transition to increased public transportation.
I want to promote people to use this form of transportation. For one factor is it's a safer ride. Of course, the bus is bigger as opposed to a car, so it's one safe way to get from one point to another. We are now that tourists are able to avail to this service, it makes it even more safer for these tourists to when they come and visit our islands.
DPS wants drivers to take notice of where the bus stops are. They continue to develop plans to ensure smooth traffic with each new route, and COTA shared that their long-term plans aren't just on land.
We've received funding through a competitive grant through the Federal Transit Administration to conduct a ferry feasibility study and a 20-year sustainable transportation master plan. Inevitably, that's the goal, is to provide alternative options for travel, whether it be sea or air.
Don't go away, we'll have more CNMI Weekly right after this. Welcome back to CNMI Weekly. In our next story, we hear from NMI Superior Court Judge Lillian Ada Tenorio, who recently held a public swearing-in ceremony.
My parents, Francisco Castro Ada and Ines Takeda Samanada, began their careers as school teachers, and they taught me and my siblings important lessons on citizenship, respect, and diligence. Nafan dichoso hamzu. My father's dedication to public service and my mother's unwavering belief in the importance of constant learning steered us to pursue higher education and careers in public service. 2 years ago, I was talking with my mother about issues and problems and some of the ways that we can solve them. A woman of profound faith, as you know, Polly James, she reminded me, never forget, pointing upward, that He makes things happen. The lesson my parents have taught me have nourished me as a daughter, sister, wife, mother, and grandmother. The same lessons that have guided me as a lawyer and now as a judge. Last and not least, I know that I'm here today because of the unconditional support and love of my husband and our 2 sons, Christopher and Andre. I am glad we are here today. All of us are here today. Christopher, Britta, Kyle, Andre, Katie, Logan, and Liam. They've all made their presence known during the ceremony. Now, my grandson Logan is 8 years strong, and already he possesses views of current events, he's not afraid to share them with me or anyone. And I hope this experience, I've taken him to my hearings, and he's here today, will make a lasting impression on him and others who are watching on the democratic principles that our Commonwealth is founded on, and that we are a government of law. In closing, I repledge my commitment to be a fair and impartial arbiter of the matters that are brought before me in this courtroom. I will continue to strive to be efficient, to be productive, and most of all, to be worthy of the trust and confidence that the people of the Commonwealth, through their elected representatives, have placed in me. Thank you all for being here today and for sharing in this, wonderful moment for me and my family. Sizu Usma Asi.
And in our last report, we explore the state of solid waste management in the Northern Marianas. Here's more. Blas Mafnas is the director of the Solid Waste Management Division under DPW.
This is where all the segregated waste are sorted out and placed at their proper location.
KUAM spoke to him at the Lower Base Transfer Station on Saipan. He said the biggest challenge for recyclables is collecting enough of it.
As soon as we reach certain quotas, such as 2 or 3 containers, shipping containers, then that would be going to its destination. Right now, most of the contractors' marketplace is in Korea or through Korea.
There are plans to create a satellite collection point in Koblerville and Cagman. Everything else that can't be recycled ends up here.
We're actually in the Marpi landfill. In front of us here is cell 2, and that way is cell 1.
The landfill and transfer station are both around 20 years old. James Benavente is the project manager with Micronesian Environmental Services, the landfill's operator.
Cell 1, our estimate's about 80 to 90% full. Cell 2, we're just getting started. We have a long time, hopefully, with enough waste diversion, segregation, recycling. We can prolong the life of this cell because our next cells have not yet been constructed.
A recent draft solid waste management plan found that Saipan produces 86 tons of trash a day. However, the economic downturn has resulted in less waste. The island also manages waste from major construction projects and debris from past typhoons. The NMI Office of Planning and Development is sourcing a multi-shredder for more efficiency.
It's not cheap. It's over $1.4 million. It's expected to come in hopefully before the end of summer.
DPW Secretary Yumol said it will also be used for other municipal waste. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of CNMI Weekly. We'll see you right here, same time, same place next week.